Hey, what's going on, guys? Heads here from Infinity Loops, and today we take a look at the Litejay by Rotorgeeks. This frame is reminiscent, I believe it's actually the exact same as their Bluejay frame, which is 2.5 millimeter carbon. This one here is 1.5 millimeter carbon, so this is quite a bit lighter, and they did recommend to build 2S, but I kind of feel like I could pull off 1S with it, so I went ahead and just went with 1S. Just looking at the carbon compared to the Fractal Engineering frame, they weren't that far off from each other, and I figured if this is working with kind of similar hardware, I might be able to get it around the same weight and maybe handle close to how I get my Fractal to handle. But do be warned that this is just a frame kit you're getting. You're not going to get all these bells and whistles that I did to this one, but I do want to walk you through how I did everything, and I will leave links down below where I got things like the files that I printed for the canopy and the battery holder. I can tell you where I got all the ducts and the motors and everything else. That'll all be in the description. So let's start at the tippy top with this one at the price range. Now, this frame is on their website for $11 Canadian. I believe that translates to about like $8 and some change. As I mentioned, it is 1.5 millimeter carbon, and the kit, if you get the hardware kit, it comes with a Mobula 7 V4 frame to use the ducts from. It is listed as a indoor/outdoor whoop, and it's recommended to either use with the ducts and 40 millimeter props or no ducts and 2-inch propellers. It also would appear they are recommending that you use an 08XX to 11XX motor for this. It does only come with 3 holes for the motor mounts, so make sure that you are not getting something with 4 motor mount holes on it if you're using 11 whatevers. On their site, they do recommend that you build this out to a 2S, although when I was originally contacted about checking out this frame, they said to try a Mobula 7 1S transplant, which I did try, and that came out to be a little heavy. The canopy that they wanted me to use with it and all of the parts together came out to be close to 30 grams. So I didn't think it would fly very well, but I really wanted to make it work on 1S. I don't really like 2S whoops as far as 75 millimeters. It's just not really my bag. I'm not a huge fan, so I really wanted to make 1S work on this. So I did some modifications to make it work, and I'll go over those with you. Now, all up, if you're just buying the carbon, you're looking at 3 grams just in carbon. And then you're going to add in your ducts and whatever motors you choose, propellers, flight controller, camera, canopy, and whatever solution you come up with for the battery mount. Now, they do have these little posts on the side of the carbon here, which I originally had a rubber band going around, and then I had a piece of grip tape going up the center. But all of that combined was really heavy. So instead, I jumped into Tinkercad because I'm a CAD novice, and I designed this little 450 battery holder that just gets screwed in with the 2 left and right flight controller screws, and this is designed to hold exactly the 450 that I fly with. As for the canopy, I grabbed this off of Thingiverse, and this is originally the Angry Don canopy. Shout out Angry Don. What I did was just pop it into CAD and made a hole in the top here for my VTX antenna just to keep it still because it was flopping all over the place. And I extended it a little bit longer in the midsection just so that I could have a flatter camera angle in the front, kind of push the camera further forward, just so I could get that 15-degree camera angle that I like so much. As for the motors, Jesse from Tinywhoop was kind enough to send me a set of the IGOW motors to try out. So that is currently what we're going to be flying on here, and those are 0802 Unibel 27,000 kV, 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. I'll be flying the Gemfan biblades on there as I usually would. These are just really hands down some of my favorite props that I've ever flown. As for the flight controller, we are using the X12 flight controller from our Mobula 7 1S build. And for the camera, we are going to keep that Runcam Nano 3 for weight reasons solely. The dry weight on this build is 25 grams, which to me is very usable. I can work with 25 grams. 30 grams on 40 millimeter props in 1S is not very fun. It works, but it's just not that great. So the original transplant that was recommended, I myself probably wouldn't recommend. This way of doing it seems to be pretty sturdy so far. I haven't broken anything. I've been flying it really hard, just about as hard as I would fly my normal daily flyers. I haven't really tried to pull any punches with this one. I've really wanted to beat it up and see where the flaws were, and so far I haven't found any in this build yet. Doesn't mean that there aren't any, I just haven't been able to locate them yet. This is flashed with Quicksilver and Bluejay on the ESEs. I try to avoid Betaflight whenever I can, so since I was building this from just off of a frame, I figured might as well run Quicksilver. So we are running Quicksilver with the 75mm 1S tune on it. Now, that was all very boring. Let's go on to the more exciting things, and let's check out some flight footage of this little fella outdoors, a little indoors, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Now that we've had a chance to check out some of the flight footage, and I've had a few days to give this a rip around, indoors, outdoors, and all kinds of different situations, I like the way that they're doing this frame. I think they're on the right track, although I don't think they're there just yet. I think this 1.5mm version of their Bluejay frame could lose some weight in the middle here. I believe a lot of these supports in the middle probably are not necessary, especially once you get down into 1S. And if you start carving out some of that carbon, you'll save even more weight and make this even more enjoyable on 1S. Now, I don't want to do it on 2S because they already have a 2S version. It's 2.5mm carbon. It's very tanky. It's kind of built for 2S. 1.5mm carbon, I've never, myself at least, I've never been very comfortable flying 2S on a 1.5mm carbon frame, just because I've always had problems with them breaking or getting fractures in them, because 2S it's heavier. So I wanted to try to keep this as light as possible, keep it fun, keep it nimble, but also try not to deviate too far off of something that you could do at home. One of the biggest weight-saving things that I could recommend, I actually kind of stole from 8-Bit FPV, who created the Scourge frame. On his Scourge frame, he runs these Mobula 7 V4 ducts, and he chops the back end off of them, the side that's on your flight controller, because that part never really takes an impact. You take your impacts all on the outside of the quad, not on the inside. So I've been flying it with these half ducts on there, and that saved tons of weight, just cutting off a lot of that plastic. But I haven't taken enough damage to break any of these yet. They're all hanging in there really sturdy. So if you want to make a little modification to save a few grams here and there, chopping the ducts, or at least on the back side that's facing the flight controller, it's not a bad idea. And that will do it for the Litejay from Rotorgeeks. I will leave links in the description down below if you would like to pick up one of these frames for yourself. Not an affiliate, just want to make sure you know where to find it if you're interested. If you have any questions, comments, or any feedback you'd like to give on this video or this build if you've tried one yourself, please feel free to leave those down below and I will get back to them ASAP. Till next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you in the next one.